You have exactly 3 seconds to like and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, I'll appear in your dreams tonight. To ask for a donation for that cup of coffee, link below.
This is an interview with Cristiano Ronaldo by journalist Piers Morgan, just 1 month before the 2022 World Cup. Ronaldo was sitting there pouring out all his frustrations about Manchester United. "They betrayed me," Ronaldo said. And so, Ronaldo and Manchester United parted ways. But where will Ronaldo go next? Ronaldo has been linked with numerous clubs. A return to Real Madrid, a move to Bayern Munich, or even a return to his boyhood club, Sporting Lisbon. But none of them are correct. In the far-off Middle East, Saudis also saw that interview and thought, here we go, this is our chance. So, after the World Cup, Ronaldo packed his bags and went to Saudi Arabia, which he calls South Africa. Here, Ronaldo can enjoy a huge income that no Real Madrid, Manchester United, or Bayern Munich could ever match. Of course, European clubs don't really mind a relatively unknown team from the Middle East bringing in a player who is no longer at his peak. But things didn't stop there. TRBLNC. In the summer of 2020, a host of top European players followed in Ronaldo's footsteps. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PF, took over the country's 4 top football clubs in early June 2023. Al Hilal, Al Nassr, and PF acquired 75% of the shares in these teams and immediately brought in world-class players. Meanwhile, for big clubs in Europe, this is the ideal solution to offload players who are no longer in good form. They will be able to cut a significant amount of salary while also receiving a substantial transfer fee. Something they wouldn't easily achieve with other European partners. There were even suspicions that PF was behind helping Chelsea offload a number of players after a transfer window in which they had overspent. As a result, Chelsea easily avoided any problems with financial fair play regulations. But not everyone was happy. Because Saudi Arabian clubs are not interested in players past their prime. The opposite is true. It's not just Ronaldo or Benzema, the 2022 Ballon d'Or winners. It's also Neymar, the player who still holds the transfer record. It also includes N'Golo Kante, Sadio, Jordan Henderson, and the list is certainly still very long. Let's look at one example. Marcelo Brozovic, the 30-year-old Croatian midfielder, wore the captain's armband for Inter Milan in the 2022-2023 Champions League final. After 8 years playing for Inter, Brozovic wanted to seek a new challenge. Barcelona have shown interest in Brozovic, but it turned out that, for him, Barcelona was not as appealing as Al Nassr or another, younger player, Rui. After many years playing for Wolverhampton in the English Premier League, also turned his back on Barcelona to move to Al Hilal. Big clubs like Barcelona now have more to worry about than losing their targets to Saudi Arabian teams. Now they even have to worry about keeping their key players, like Liverpool, for example. Jurgen Klopp has called on FIFA and UEFA to sit down together to find a solution to the expansion of the Saudi Pro League. The worst part is that their transfer window closes 3 weeks later than ours. So, once they steal our players, we have no alternative. in just a few summer months. Klopp's Liverpool lost 3 of their stars to teams playing in the Saudi Pro League: Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, and Roberto Firmino. And they almost lost their biggest star as well, Mohamed Salah, to Al Ittihad. Even in Neve's case, you need to know that Wolverhampton Wanderers is not a poor team. They rank 25th among the world's highest earning clubs. The problem: PF gives Wolverhampton 2 options. Either sell Neves for 47 million, 60 million, or keep him for another season until his contract expires, and get nothing in return. It's too difficult to fight against PF. They made offers that the players couldn't refuse. Moving to Saudi Arabia could be a step backward in Neve's career. But here, the player could earn 10 times more than at Wolverhampton, with a salary of around 15 million per year. However, that's still less than 1/10 of what the top 2 teams have achieved. For example, Ronaldo earns 73 million a year, or Benzema earns 2 million. Hell, imagine this if you were Saudi Arabian. 2022. You'd look over at your noisy neighbor, Qatar. They hosted the most expensive World Cup in history. But what about the performance of the Qatar national team? Complete defeat. While you are the only team to have surpassed the reigning champions, Argentina. But then, who will remember you? Or do people only remember Messi and Qatar? Not to mention PSG. One person from the UAE owns Manchester City, both of which are among the most valuable brands in the world. What about you? You have to do something. So, you're saying, send Ronaldo an offer he can't refuse. When Ronaldo arrives, others will follow. And so Ronaldo received 173 million, becoming the highest paid athlete in the world of sports. For some, Ronaldo would be a magnet for attracting top players to the Saudi Pro League. These players will think, oh, why not? Ronaldo even wanted to go there. OBL. First, top players like Ronaldo will help them polish the image of the Saudi Pro League. This idea isn't actually new. Most recent, China has been one example. But do you remember when the first time a team brought in a top-tier player to elevate the league happened? And then 3 years old, changed his mind about retiring to sign with the New York Cosmos in the newly emerging North American Soccer League. Nassau, the king of football, scored 37 goals in 64 matches. New York Cosmos was very successful in this acquisition. Nassau, on the other hand, became an attractive destination for names that are now all legends. Gerd Müller, Frank Beckenbauer, and Johan. Although the Nassau eventually ended in 1984, the idea of promoting the league's image in this way became an inspiration for many other leagues that followed. Some, like Japan and Australia, have even developed their football industries thanks to this. Right here in Viet Nam, you probably still remember that in the summer of 2009, Haiphong Cement Club brought in Denelson, who was then the most expensive player in the world, only to play 1 match and score 1 goal. Are you perhaps comparing what has happened to Chinese football to what happened to Saudi Arabia? If China has failed, why is Saudi Arabia still choosing this path? Will they follow the path of China? That's possible. But let's compare the players these 2 leagues have brought in. China mainly brings in players who are either not very prominent, like Fellaini, Paulinho, or Hoke, etc., or who are past their prime like Tevez. Perhaps the most prominent name is Oscar, who arrived here at the age of 25, while the rest are mostly players who are no longer at their peak. But Saudi Arabia is different. They brought in much bigger names. Why? Do you know who was the top scorer in the Saudi Pro League in 3 of the last 5 seasons? That is Abdurazak Hamdallah. Do you know this player? Hamdallah is a Moroccan player. This is a list of the clubs that Hamdallah has played for. Not very familiar, is it? Of course. Many Saudis certainly wouldn't like this. They wanted a much more famous name. It has to be Ronaldo, Neymar, or PF's investments in sports will include player acquisitions, acquisitions of foreign clubs, development of domestic clubs, and acquisition or development of leagues both domestically and internationally. You might be wondering why they don't invest money in European clubs like the Qatari or UAE owners do with PSG and Man City. Actually, they've already done it. They bought Newcastle United, a famous but financially struggling English club, 41. In their first year under Saudi Arabian ownership, Newcastle United spent around $100 million and avoided relegation. In their second year, the club finished 4th, qualifying for the Champions League for the first time in 20 years. But the problem is they can't just spend freely and expect Newcastle to become a top team overnight. That's because of UFA's financial fair play regulations. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, they don't have to worry about that. Not to mention, nowadays, sometimes we even care more about a player than an entire club. Hence, in football alone, they have spent around $100 billion on transfers this summer. There are even reports that, in 2021, PIFA's money was behind the Super League that caused countless controversies and was later cancelled due to overwhelming opposition. No problem. The Saudis thought, if it's not accepted in Europe, why not bring it to Saudi Arabia? By turning the domestic teams into top teams, and transforming the Saudi Pro League into the Super League. Ultimately, Saudi Arabia's most important ambition is probably to host the World Cup, possibly. Secondly, it's because of the soft power of sports, especially football. For us, football is simply entertainment, but it's a form of soft power that every nation desires. The competition is no longer about the number of warheads, missiles, fighter jets. Sport is now an important element of a superpower. Significant. It elicited admiration rather than opposition. For example, Argentina has beaten many other national teams to win the World Cup, but people would love Argentina rather than protest against them. Everyone knows Ronaldo, but not everyone knows this man. That is Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of the Saudi Arabian royal family. Bin Salman is the same age as Ronaldo and is the man behind the country's entry into global sports. Not just football, but also Formula 1, boxing, and many other sports. Bin Salman's ambition is to change the world's negative perceptions of Saudi Arabia, a country located in a region known for instability and conflict. Or it could also be to help Bin Salman divert public attention away from human rights issues. Thirdly, football will be an important element in boosting the economy. Sports are just one part of Saudi Arabia's overall economic integration project under its Vision 2030 plan, aimed at diversifying the economy and reducing its dependence on oil. PIF will use its more than $700 billion fund to invest in various sectors. But more specifically, what does it mean to diversify the economy by spending a lot of money? Let's talk about a simple example. They are turning their money into artificial gold mines, attracting people from all over to come and exploit it. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. It was California in the mid-19th century. A man named James W. Marshall discovered gold. This created a craze, attracting many people to exploit it. And then, following the gold miners, services sprang up like mushrooms. The gold miners needed a place to deposit their money, so banks appeared. They needed a place for entertainment, so pubs sprang up, and services gradually emerged to meet their needs. And so, a barren wasteland was transformed into a town in the blink of an eye. Now, if it were an independent country, California would have the 5th largest economy in the world. In short, as we all know, Saudi Arabia has made a lot of money from oil. And now, they're turning their money into artificial gold mines. attracting crowds of people to exploit them in various sectors, from sports and construction to services, all aimed at creating an economy independent of oil. And football is one of the most significant influences. There are many rumors about Saudi Arabia's ambitions, such as wanting to participate in the Champions League or organize a league similar to the Super League. We'll know soon. But first and foremost, for the first time, an emerging league is posing a host of real challenges to Europe's giants. Now they will have to try to keep their squad from being torn apart by the Saudi Arabian money. That could happen at some point soon. But right now, Saudi Arabia is contributing to trivializing the concept of a 100 million player. Now, European teams will have to spend significantly more money than before to get the players they want. And you, if you were Ronaldo, would you go to Saudi Arabia?